Welcome to the rant, and we have reason to celebrate today. Well, we had reason to celebrate like a little while ago because the Cubs actually clinched a playoff spot a while ago, but they actually didn't blow home field advantage in the first round. So that's why I'm saying we should be celebrating. I'm John, that's Evan. We do the rant for CubsInsider.com, and we're going to talk about the Cubs today. Are you excited about the fact that the Cubs they made it real interesting down the stretch?
They sure did. You know what I'm interested in? What I am most happy about was the fact that somehow, despite crapping the bed and not playing well against the Mets, despite getting swept by the Reds, is in part what caused the Mets to miss the postseason after at one point having the best record in baseball, after having a massive, massive payroll. The Reds, and what I love the best about it is that the Reds just backed on in. They lost on Sunday, but so did the Mets, and the Reds had the tiebreaker, and it pushed them out. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a lot better about where the Cubs are at right now, largely because the offense has actually been producing. Yesterday and really, like, how much are they really trying? You know what I mean? And they swapped a bunch of guys out. It was like a spring training game. But in the previous 5 games, I believe they'd scored at least 5 runs in each of those, which is the first time they'd done that in like 3 months. I mean, I think it was since June at some point, or early July, something like that, since they had a run like that. And it feels like Michael Busch is hitting well. Seiya Suzuki's finally hitting well again. PCA's starting to hit. Kyle Tucker's back in the line. Like, everything is moving in the right direction aside from Cade Orton.
Yeah, offensively for sure. It definitely feels like it's moving in the right direction. I mean, I think what Kyle Tucker does is still kind of a big unknown. You know, he kind of, before he went on the IL, it felt like he was kind of getting back to his normal self. But I mean, really, he still didn't he had 2 games in a row, right? That were decent. But outside of that, it was like kind of, he went 2 for 3 in a game, but then he went 2 for 5 with with no home runs. Where did he? Oh, that was back in the 22nd and the 23rd. So it had been a while since he hit a home run. He hit one on the 2nd of September. He only had 1 home run in September.
Yeah. I mean, very few games,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a lot of games. It was like 5 games, but still, it's crazy. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of bounces back. But you're right. Like, Seiya Suzuki had a few home runs there. He had a game with 2 home runs. And yeah, I mean, he's swinging the bat well. It feels like offensively they're kind of back from that kind of low point we saw in, I guess, July, August. And so,
yeah, and I mean, it's different when, like, they're certainly not all slumping. Like, that's one thing. But a bunch of them are getting hot, right? That's what I mean. Michael Busch had that game, again, a perfect game, effectively, right? 2 homers, a triple, and a double, and then they intentionally walked him at the end, which I thought was cowardly. But I mean, whatever, right? Like, he raised his WRC plus 7 points in one game at the end of the season, which is crazy. But so what I like about it is not just that, a couple of guys are hitting, and that's fine. But, like, you're talking about, we've seen Busch. I mean, his rookie year there, he homered in how many straight games, 5 or 6 straight games or whatever. And, we've seen it from Suzuki, where these are guys who, when they're hot, they can carry the team all by themselves effectively. And so having both of them do that, and then you look at it like, so you don't need, there've been times when, like, you needed someone to step up. And so when guys are slumping, then it looks that much worse if Kyle Tucker's not producing, if PCA is not producing. What I love about it is those guys are doing that. That should continue to play pretty well. And then, you've got the bullpen is pitching really well. You've got that up the middle defense, like all the little things that should understandably be under the microscope in postseason baseball, the Cubs are doing well again. They're getting good pitching performances. They're hitting the ball out of the yard, and they're playing good defense. And so that gives me a lot of, at least for this wild card series that they get to host, it gives me a lot of optimism.
Well, yeah, and I mean, looking at the Padres, I think their weakness on paper, at least, is their starting rotation. And I mean, that's what you want if you're going up against a team. I mean, obviously, they've got, as long as you've got the ability to score early against that starting rotation, because their bullpen's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, if the Cubs can score runs early, before the fifth inning, or at least 2, 3, 4 runs more, hopefully more, then they'll be fine. The problem will become if they're in a tight game late, because the Cubs bullpen has been decent. It hasn't been terrible. It's been actually pretty good. But I just think that the Padres have an edge in the bullpen department. I think the Cubs have an edge in starting pitching, even with Horton out.
Yeah, and that's still like the Horton thing, man. That just still sucks. And I mean, we had that. We had a piece out there. We knew it was worse than what they were letting on initially, which is I mean, that's kind of a Cubs thing, of course, right? They love doing that stuff, but it's just like, we put that out. It was just funny the way it worked, right? Because we had the article like, hey, this might be worse than they are indicating. And then they continue like, oh, he's going to throw in the outfield. It'll be fine. But then everything they would say, like, what was this positive, it's like, there's some areas of concern, but we're still proceeding. Things look okay, but we're getting a second opinion and we'll continue. And it's like, everything was like, the back half of what you guys are saying, or there's certain words in there that are carrying a lot more weight. And then sure enough, he's got a fractured rib going on the IL. It's like, ugh, such a bummer, but we'll see.
Did we ever find out how he fractured the rib? Was it just pitching?
He said it's a combination. He had that cough that was going on. There's overall fatigue. And that was the part, right, where my concern comes from, or has come from the whole time, was, and that's when people were like, oh, why are you pulling him from this no-hitter? Why are you doing that? And it's like, you got to remember, like, this dude does not have any sort of, he has no precedent for pitching this many innings ever in his life. And so, he said it's this perfect storm of fatigue, and he had the cough, and then he was out there, max effort throws. And it's just one of those weird things that they can't really pinpoint. It wasn't it wasn't like one pitch he threw and it popped or something like that. So, we'll see, I guess. But I don't think there's any. I know that he could, in theory, be activated for Game 5 of the NLDS should they get there. But you can't roster him just on the hope that maybe he'll be able to be active by Game 5. So, I mean, it's NLCS probably at the earliest if he's able to come back at all.
And that's just such a hard pill to swallow. Because it's like, I mean, it's not an easy road. Certainly, if the Cubs were to win in this first series, then they'd go on to face the Brewers in a 5-game series, which, I mean, they won the season series against the Brewers. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually.
Okay. I was
I don't know if the Brewers fans know
like
that.
Some people don't know that. And so, yeah, you just, you'd really want him there for that series, and like, how is he going to, like, will he be cold coming into, even if the Cubs were to make it all the way to the NLCS, which I think is like getting way ahead of ourselves. But if they did, and he came back, like, how effective would he be?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but I don't know. And honestly, I don't like that he is out, but I like that him being on the IL means they can't sit there and like hope. You can't just sit there like, well, maybe if we could just get to where he'll, you know what I mean? Like, no, you have to plan for him being gone. And it's not a good thing that he's gone, but just kind of removing that hope is great.
Yeah, and so the Cubs for starting pitchers going into this series. I mean, I guess Imanaga is number one. He's a lefty. I
No,
don't know if you go with
no.
him right out of the
Boyd.
box.
They've already announced Boyd.
Oh,
And
have they? I'm
Imanaga,
sorry, I didn't see that.
Imanaga would be short rest anyway. So, and he's given up about 15 home runs a game. So, yeah, Boyd's game one. If Imanaga goes, I think you go game 3 for him if he goes, or you bump him all the way and say, he's not even starting in the series at all. But
So you go Boyd and then Ray.
that's what I would go with Ray game 2. I mean, you could go Imanaga
Tyon.
game 2 would be 5. Tyon just plays Saturday, so Wednesday game 2 would be 3 days rest. I don't think that's ideal.
Okay, yeah, that's not happening.
But yeah, I just, so to me again, this is why I published this like as I was publishing it. So when they announced that Boyd, and I said I thought Boyd game 1, which made sense, and then that was confirmed. I say opener. I say Drew Pomeranz opening for Ray in game 2, and then Imanaga game 3. Now, unless you don't want to go 3 lefties, you could go Tyon in that third game for sure.
Yeah. So, well, let's just to recap, just to step back a little bit. The Cubs finished the season 92-70, which is good, right? I mean, that's I think if you would have said over 90 wins, I don't think anybody was predicting they would win over 90 games this year. I think most people had them in the upper 80s, but I could be wrong on that. So 92-70 versus the Brewers, who are 97-65. Now the Cubs in 2024 were 83-79, so they improved by 9 games. And I was just looking through some of their stats, 24 versus 25, and I thought it was really interesting. On the pitching side, man, they're almost identical. Like the team ERA in 2024 was 3.79, and in 2025 it was 3.81. Now they struck out more batters per 9 in 2024, but they walked about a half batter per 9 innings less in 2025. So a little bit more control and discipline there on the pitching side. But the real difference popped out was, and I mean, it's funny because we had a show at some point at the end of last year where we were talking about what the Cubs really need, and we were saying they need a power bat. They added that power bat with Kyle Tucker. Granted, he wasn't. He was, out for a prolonged period of time, but it did help them to win more games than they probably would have otherwise while he was there. And the Cubs, just on the home run side, they hit 223 home runs versus 170 in 2024. That's 53 more home runs. And I mean, that was all the difference, right? So you had 6 guys over 20 home runs. Last year in 2024, we only had 3 guys, and no one was over 30. And so this year we had 3 people batting over 30 home runs: Bush, Seiya Suzuki, and PCA. And really, it's a combination of PCA's power surge and Kyle Tucker. And then Bush hit 13 more home runs than he did last year. Seiya hit 11 more home runs, even though Seiya went on that really cold streak. And so the power really, really came through. And what I'm interested to see is, when you get in these playoff matchups, typically the pitching kind of rises to the top. Can the Cubs break out of their kind of the funk they were in? And it seems like they already are starting to do that, and hit against this, kind of more elevated pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is where, again, one swing, one hit, like when we're looking at 2, I don't want to say evenly matched, but that's really, I think the Cubs have the advantage actually. But like you said, the bullpens are very, very similar in terms of strikeout rate and everything else. They're 2 of the better units around there, especially if we look at kind of post trade deadline, and that, because that's really what the Cubs unit is here. With the Padres don't do great against left-handed pitching, which I think is really good. But with the Cubs being hot, with them having more guys, and the Padres don't hit for a ton of power either, right? So I think when you look at those things, the Cubs could have a nice little advantage in terms of what those guys, what a few big swings could do for them. I hope.
Yeah, and they've got several guys that could make those swings. I mean, up and down the lineup, it's almost everybody in the lineup. I mean, you got Carson Kelly, you've got Matt Shaw. I mean, there's really no one in the lineup that doesn't have power or Nico, but Nico's game is I mean, on a whole different level. I think he doesn't necessarily need that power. Can he hit a home run? Sure. Are you relying on him for that? No. But
Right.
I mean, he's such a solid man. He's so solid. He's just like, he always comes through with the clutch hit. He doesn't have the power, but to me, Nico is like, I don't want to say he's the MVP, but he just seems like the most solid all around player on the Cubs. Am I
No,
missing that?
I think that's accurate, right? Because if and the power certainly is not there, nor should it be. I mean, he's kind of tried to push for that a little bit more at times, I think, and I think it's better. Every once in a while he'll put a charge in one, but when you talk about just the defensive ability, the base running, hitting for average, right, close to 300, and everything else that he does everything well, other than hit the ball out of the park. But when you have a bunch of other guys that could do that, right, then his complementary skills, I think, become that much more important. So, he reaches base well, he, get him on, get him over, and get him in. And that's where, when this team is at its best, it's not just hitting for power. I think we referenced this a couple shows ago about how much better they are when they steal bases too, right? So they're very capable of stealing bases in bunches. They got a lot of guys with speed. They have a lot of guys who play great defense. They have a lot of guys who can hit the ball out of the yard. And now they've got a lot of guys in that bullpen who can serve in high leverage situations, whether that's as an opener, whether you come in as a bulk guy or not. I mean, a bulk guy would be more of a starter, but when you look at guys like Caleb Thielbar, Brad Keller, Andrew Kittredge, now you've got Daniel Palencia back. Like, there's a lot of dudes who, Palencia certainly had his struggles there, but who you could turn the ball over in those tight situations. And so there's a lot of ways that they can beat you, again, provided they're doing those things well. But that's where I like the dynamism of the offense in particular when it is working well. And that's what I just hope that we saw them when the power kind of vacated. It became a little tougher. It looked like they were pressing. But when that power's there and when it feels like it's contagious, it's a very different team to watch. And that's what it looked like these last 6 games or so, that they just looked almost effortless, right? Because they were just going out there and just, once that ball starts rolling downhill, they can really play off that momentum. So, again, hopefully we see more of it. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, if you look down the line, right, between, and you compare the Padres and the Cubs, you look starting pitching, I think the Cubs have an advantage, even though they've got injuries that they're dealing with. I think bullpen, obviously the Padres have the advantage there. Offensively, though, the Cubs are hands down better than the Padres. I mean, it's not even close. And you look at the home runs, the Cubs hit 223 home runs. The Padres hit 152. And the Cubs stole 161 stolen bases, and the Padres stole 106. So, I mean, if you're looking for, who should have the advantage in this series, again, as long as the Cubs can come out and score some runs early, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the thing, right? Is I guess it's so easy going into these things. I think that to feel optimistic about it. Then of course the flip side is, well, what if they don't score early? But I do really think when you look at the way these teams are constructed, and when you look at how good the bullpens are, especially San Diego's, which we haven't. I assume most folks aren't watching a ton of Padres baseball, but one of the best, arguably the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. I mean, overall, if you look at ERA, if you look at strikeouts and things like that, like those are fairly important, right? And you got Suarez back there doing some big things. So that is where it becomes a little tougher, right? Is that there are times when we look at like the 2016 Cubs or things like that, and you think about, in general, it's true, hey, just get into the bullpen, wear the starter out, get in the bullpen, like face those guys. But when you're talking about a short series against an elite level bullpen, it becomes less about wear them down over time and more about, like, because they also, it's a short set. It's 3 games at most. So it's not as if you're worried about burning up their bullpen game one and now in the subsequent games, the Padres are going to pull out all the stops. So you're going to have guys going there. So yeah, you feel really good about it if the Cubs are able to jump out front, especially with any kind of a significant. And then again, that's when they are at their best as well. And I think 16 was a little bit different. Nobody ever worried that they could kind of grind teams down and figure it out and then come back. This team has shown that at times, but to me, it does feel like they're at their best, and they usually just overall that performance seems to be, if you can jump out quick, right, then you can, I don't want to say coast, but you turn the ball over to your own bullpen, and then it becomes a battle of who can get 27 outs first. You know what I mean? Now, I guess realistically, the Cubs would naturally have to be the team that gets 27 outs first because the Padres are the visitors and they bat first. But can the Cubs record 27 outs with a lead? Right. That's all it comes down to, and that is, again, that's like pretty dumb. Like, the team that scores the most will win. But I just mean in terms of doing whatever it takes to get those 27 outs. If that means you got to pull your starter after 2 innings because he's getting shade, and you got to go to another guy, a Michael Soroka or Aaron Savali to kind of eat some innings in there, or whatever the case may be, you do it. You go that route and you get to that 27th out. It doesn't matter. It could be ugly as hell, 2-1 game where you're leaving tons of men on base. Doesn't matter. Just get the win, because style points mean nothing at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Or the postseason.
Yeah, I'm looking at the weather. Looks like it's like mid-70s. Perfect baseball weather. All the games start at 2:08 Central Time. How do you feel about the day game? I mean, obviously, would think it's good, favorable for the Cubs, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose a little bit. I know the Padres are already out there and not too big a deal. I don't like it. I mean, I just from a showcase standpoint, I don't like it, because it's 2:08, whatever, and it's before noon, right, or whatever, right, in midday if you're going West Coast. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Especially for Padres fans, that kind of sucks. But even for Cubs fans, like, I get it. Hey, a Friday day game at Wrigley, that's tradition. But Tuesday and Thursday postseason baseball in the middle of the afternoon or early afternoon, really, like, the game's over really by the time people are wrapping up and getting home from work. So that part I don't really care for all that much. But I actually, personally, I kind of like it just because, hey, that gives me my evenings are free, that I don't have to pay too much attention. But at the same time, it's just, and it makes for a very quick turnaround on, I can get some of the lineup stuff done ahead of time, whatever. But just, I don't know, strikes me kind of odd. Playoff baseball to me is in the evenings under the lights.
Yeah, I think they always do that. They have to do it with the wild card series. There's always a day game, right? And I guess I'm psyched about it. I wish I could be there, because day playoff baseball in Chicago sounds glorious, especially with temperatures in the mid-70s. Man, I might have to convince myself to go.
I know, which is still, but it's like, under normal circumstances, I would say, mid-70s is great. I don't like the fact that we're closing in on October and, like, it was 90 here yesterday, which is just not, like, I'm going to probably get screwed out of any, like, shorts and hoodie season is the best part of the year to me. Yeah. And it's like shorts and tank top season. We're almost October. It's going to, before we know it, it's just going to flip, and then we're going to get winter. But I will say, it's hard to beat a mid-70s sunny afternoon at Wrigley, and you got playoff baseball. Like, come on, man. Come on. That's hard to beat for sure.
It's just, it would be better if it was like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday versus a Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly Thursday. But whatever. And so I haven't even seen the line. Have you looked at the betting line and the odds?
I have not. I don't know if I'm surprised. It's almost like with as much as we're inundated by that stuff, it's kind of surprising if it's not laid out that way. But I don't bet at all.
So like I could look up the odds and I'm not going to be able to tell you anything about what it means. The Cubs to win the World Series are minus or plus 1,500. Let's see. Cubs are 1.5 run underdogs against the Padres on the 30th. Wow, that seems like a lot. 1.5 run underdogs.
Now, are they? Does it say minus 1.5 or plus 1.5?
It says they are 1.5 run underdogs. That's all it says here.
Oh, it actually says that like that. Oh, that's
it actually says that. Yeah.
For game one. That seems kind of odd.
I don't know. You should be looking at this stuff.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
Instead of me, but yeah. So they play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the first game of the NLDS against the Brewers, whoever is going to play them, is on Saturday, the 4th of October. And they don't have a time for that one either. And so it's Saturday and then Monday. That's interesting. Saturday, Monday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday for if there's a game 5. My goodness. And so they have a day off between game 1 and 2, even though they're both at Milwaukee.
Is that, I mean, are they just trying to avoid NFL overlap? Like that's just, you know what I mean? Like that's just, but it's still.
There's a game on Sunday. The ALDS is Saturday, Sunday.
Odd.
Let's see the NLD. Yep. Yeah. Both American League Division Series games are on Saturday and Sunday. The National League Division Series are on Saturday and Monday. And then, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of weird. So anyways, just looking ahead just a little bit because we can, and it's always good to be able to do that. Predictions. Let's do first. Should we just do the other series first, or should we just go straight to the Cubs?
Let's do all the other ones. Okay. Yeah, let's do the other ones first.
Let's start in the American League then. American League, you've had Detroit, who has just floundered and somehow managed to make it into the postseason, against the Cleveland Guardians, who have been just killing it. Man, you could not have a more interesting series just from, just looking at what had happened to both teams as down the stretch the last couple months of the season. 3 seed is Cleveland and the 6 seed is the Tigers. Who do you think wins that?
I'm going to take the Guardians in 3.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to take the Tigers in 3. I'm going to write this down so we can keep score.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you take the Guardians in 3.
Yep.
And I am taking the Tigers in 3. That's just because I just want them to win. And then you've got the Yankees and the Red Sox, the matchup that every network executive loves to love.
Right.
Only three games, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
be an interesting one.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going Yankees in 2.
I'm going to take Yankees, but I'm going to take them in 3. But I hope the Red Sox win. That's who I'll be rooting for. And then we've got the Reds and the Dodgers. I don't think there's going to be any shocks going on here.
No, I'm going to say Dodgers in 2, but I think the Reds are going to scare them. I think there's going to
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to punch the Dodgers in the mouth once or twice, but I still think the Dodgers are going to overwhelm them in the end. So I'll again, Dodgers in 2.
I mean, yeah, and just looking forward to the next round. Like, I really want to see. I think everybody wants to see the Dodgers and the Phillies play. I think that's really an intriguing series. The Reds, could they beat the Dodgers? Yeah, because the Dodgers have not been great this year. Their pitching hasn't been great, and they've just kind of disappointed. Really, I thought they were going to win 110 games. and they won 93. And the Cubs won one game less than they did.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming. So we'll see what happens there. Let me go back to my little tab here. Okay. And then finally, the Cubs versus the Padres.
And it's so tough because I want to just be like Cubs in 2. But it depends. Like when I wrote about, like, I know it's probably going to be Shota Imanaga. Everybody believes that. I wrote that personally, I would rather see an opener in Colin Ray and bump Imanaga back to a third game and have Tyon bumped to the NLDS if it's there. I don't like the idea of Imanaga and part of that is reactionary on my part because Ray has been very good lately and Imanaga has been downright bad lately and certainly not good in the entire second half. So I don't like that. I do think if they go with Imanaga, I sincerely hope I sound like an idiot for saying this, but I don't like him going in game 2, man. And if that's the case, then I'd say the Cubs are going to have to outlast him in 3. So I'll stick with Cubs in 3.
Okay. And I too am in a belief that the Cubs should win in 3. I mean, listen, anything's possible here, right? I mean, if the Cubs lose in 2, I don't even. Let's just hope that doesn't happen because that'd just be. I wouldn't know what to do about that. But we're gonna have to try to figure something out. That's for sure.
Oof, yeah.
So yeah, let's hope that does not happen and the Cubs come out and get that first game because I think everybody will feel a lot better if they can win the first game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that like obviously, right, in a 3-game series, that's kind of the thing. But and this is where the Horton issue comes in. And not that he would guarantee them a win, but there's no 3 starters right now with the way they're pitching that I feel great about. Boyd had a decent, Boyd hadn't pitched well in the second half. Neither is Imanaga. Tyon's pitched really well, but he doesn't strike anybody out. Like I said, Colin Ray, I'm looking at right now, small sample and everything, but Colin Ray has looked really, really good the last 2 starts since he fixed a couple of little things mechanically. And to me, I like that option. And Imanaga, if you look at his days of rest, regular rest he's not very good. 5 days rest, he's been okay. 6 days rest, and he hadn't done that often, but he's actually really, really good there. And after the conclusion of a long season, that's why I'd kind of like to save him back for Thursday if needed because of the long rest, right? Tyon just pitched on Saturday. So really, he obviously is not going to pitch on Tuesday. We clearly know that. But even Wednesday would be short rest for him, which I don't like.
Yeah.
And so then, then you push him, but if you bump him, you have Imanaga go. It's probably, like I said, it's probably Boyd, Imanaga, Tyon. Probably what it's going to be. But, I kind of threw a wild card out there and said, what if we try this? So we'll see, but it's going to be definitely, I think, we'll all feel a lot better if they just go out and score 5 or 6 runs right out the gate.
In the first inning.
And then it's just make it academic,
just
right?
Post.
Yeah. Then it doesn't matter who's out there. Although we've seen some situations where even that didn't really work out real well. So we'll see. But yeah.
What I don't want to see is I don't want to see Craig Counsell getting cute. Meaning the Cubs jump out to a big lead and then he just starts to, he pulls whoever the starter is or, just doing weird kind of things because he's playing to the situation. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I don't love it when they play to the situation at all.
Well, at least not and this kind of felt like, there are certain times this is kind of like what we saw in the World Series or whatever, it makes sense if you're talking about okay, and this isn't getting cute, so I guess it's the other way around. But if the starter kind of looks like he's starting to labor, and you've got a tough lineup coming up, and you're up by 1 or 2, then it's but yeah, I think when you start putting guys in positions they're not used to. If you have a starter
Yeah.
coming on in relief, if you have a dude coming into a dirty inning when that's not been his forte, or whatever things like that, which is and again, you go back to the World Series, like Joe Madden saying, I'm not going to bring John Lester into a dirty inning, and then what does he do? He brought him into a dirty inning. Like it's things like that when guys aren't prepared for certain roles or certain situations, certain preparation. Like pitching is very much about routine. And it's particularly for starters. Bullpen guys, not quite as much because they can't have that same set routine. But yeah, I just don't go making preemptive moves that don't need to be made yet, like pushing buttons that don't have to be pushed until it's time. And so hopefully they put him in a position where, right, again, that's all moot, and there's never any worry about it because the game is very much in hand, and you just kind of roll through with a fairly standard pitching setup. That would be obviously everybody's hope, I think, on this end.
Yep. Well, we're going to find out tomorrow at 2:08 p.m. Central Time. So I'm looking forward to it. I know you are, and we'll circle back. I guess we can circle back after the series, just as a wrap up and hopefully a look forward to the next series.
Yeah.
Versus a season ending podcast.
Yeah, it's either a preview or a post-mortem, right? One way or the other.
Yeah. Let's hope it's a preview, but we'll find out soon. So until then, thank you for joining us. Check us out on CubsInsider.com, Facebook, Instagram, all the places. YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You can see over YouTube. So, all right, cool. See ya.
Peace.